Shit. Ready?
Yeah.
Juwan next to Don.
7 months STEEZ going on. Yes, Lord, yo.
Bring y'all post and review. Sadly. West Coast Eagles, West Coast all day, every day. Versus Port Adelaide Power.
At the Adelaide Oval.
Go ahead, bro.
All right, so coming into the game, I did expect more of a lopsided affair, just given on where both teams stood last year and the moves, obviously, the offseason made, that both teams made during the offseason. I think early on I was slightly impressed with how West Coast competed. I think overall just the difference between the two teams were just the number of composed players and the number of just quality players on the field at the time and just the consistency. But there were times that I liked what I seen from West Coast, but overall I think it did go as expected for me. Harley Reid obviously was the number one pick, and all eyes were on him, and he was big talk of the media, so I liked what I seen out of Bro as well. And yeah, I don't want to wrap the game up, so go ahead and tell me what you
All right, man. Bruh. So, coming into this game, I mean, I think even West Coast fans didn't expect this win, especially at the Adelaide Oval. It was more of a coming out to see what we could do with our best 22. Not too many injuries coming in this year, unlike the past 2 years. So this year, it's really going to be a learning year. I do think it's going to take us a while to get our feeding and just understand how to play with each other in these more competitive games, you know, other than scrimmages and practices and whatever the fuck we were doing last year. And the first quarter, I really enjoyed the first quarter. I think we looked good a lot of the time. We definitely competed more than I thought we would. I mean, at the end of the first, we were only down by 5 points. It was, can't say it was a ding-dong affair, but we definitely was keeping up with them in some regards. But going into the rest of the whole fucking game, we kind of were just ass. There's a lot of opportunities that we just didn't capitalize on. We just weren't clean with the ball. It was a lot of chaos ball, and it's like we didn't know how to compose out of chaos. It was chaos, and either Port got it or it just went over the boundary. There's a lot of places. On top of us not being clean with the ball, I think our defenders were just getting beat. Charlie Dixon just made us look silly the first half, and whenever Porter just got the ball and they had a little chain event, it just ended up in a free Port player's hands, if you don't mind. On the other side, we would get to the 50. There was a lot of times we got to the 50 and we just couldn't get that one extra kick off. We couldn't get a mark. We couldn't get a clean handball. It's not. I don't feel like it was enough pressure to be making mistakes like that. It's just we weren't clean enough to put the ball. It's like you can kind of tell just watching that we're a young team that hasn't really got a lot of years under our belt together. But all these are problems I think can get cleaned up just with time and with people playing together. So I'm very optimistic. Did better than I thought, honestly. I do think we're gonna beat a lot of. We can win some games, bro. I'll say that. Although this ass whooping could have been a lot worse. Port was just inaccurate as shit. I think they had
40.
Yeah, they had double our fucking scoring shots.
16-24, I think.
Yeah, so shit could have been a lot worse, but Harley Reid, definitely like him. I do see him as our star midfield player going into the future. Seems like he likes it there. I'm excited to watch him grow. I mean, It is what it is. West Coast, he was kind of, ass. But if your team is in the bottom four, we finna whoop y'all ass. Yeah.
Just to add on, I think like when West Coast was competitive, like we were saying, the first quarter, for the most part, I think they did do some decent things right. And like you were saying, it was really the entry inside 50 for the most part that wasn't. And the whole night, the entry inside 50 was not good for West Coast. But in the first quarter, they were able to at least I think Harley Reid did. He was one good example of this where he just read the ball well as to where the ball was going to drop and was able to do handball to a teammate and who handballed to another teammate and scored. So that was a nice passage for West Coast. But yeah, the markets inside 50 were just way too easy for Port and Dixon in the first half. But throughout the game, you just see Marshall consistently lined up in front of goal. And they had multiple goal scorers, so it was just constant bleeding for West Coast defensively. Marshall, Finlayson, Kane Farrell has a couple goals, and the runoff halfback I think is a real good strength. I think of Port. Port was impressive there with Kane Farrell and with Dan Houston. Port as a team just seemed to know where exactly each other should be at and continually supported each other well, and that's why I think it looked so easy, like you were saying earlier, just the free handball, and all of a sudden there's just so much space for Port to work with, and with not a lot of pressure, it's pretty easy to just lace out a kick. And their entries inside 50 were just decent as well too, and they just and that's led to them getting all the marks inside 50. So I think it was a real good performance for Port overall. Both teams had to knock some rust off, and I am interested in seeing what West Coast can do because I've said as well. I think just a club who is ravaged by either COVID-19 or injuries, just the way that they have been for years at a time. Like without that. Well, that would mess up any club, to be honest. Like, no matter how successful your club has been or is, and so without those particular just plagues on the club, I'm interested in seeing where they can really go.
I don't got nothing else to say, man. Just let's go solve every day, man. Like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube shit.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, tune in. We live every weekend. Catch us, pop out for a game. We be out here.
We here.
But yeah. Take 6.